Your name is Toby. Now tell me your name.
You traitor!
Don't beat me, master! Please don't beat me, master! Don't beat that tired old body! No, no!
That's not your name. Toby's your name.
For the ancestors.
What's this I hear about you whipping slaves? But.
Wheel about and turn about and do just so. Every time I wheel about, I jump Jim Crow.
I was born and raised in Atlanta. My dad's a security guard. You ain't black!
For the ancestors.
Along the coastline of Ghana lies a number of ancient castles and forts. Marking the beginning of the slaves' perilous journey during the era of the slave trade, these fortresses were the last memory slaves had at their homeland before being shipped off across the Atlantic, never to return again. Between 1482 and 1786, clusters of castles and forts were along the 500-kilometer-long coastline of Ghana between Quetta in the east and Bang in the west. Back then, Ghana was called the Gold Coast due to its vast quantities of gold, and these strongholds served as fortified trading posts offering protection from other foreign settlers and threats from the African population. Placed strategically as links in the trade routes established by the Portuguese in the 15th century, who were the first settlers on the Gold Coast, the forts thereafter were seized, attacked, exchanged, sold and abandoned during almost 4 centuries of struggle between European powers for domination over the Gold Coast. As early as the 1500s, the settlers' interest turned to the slave trade in light of the growing demand for human labor in the New World, the Americas and the Caribbean. From holding gold, ivory and other wares, the castles gradually imprisoned slaves, who were reduced to yet another commodity. The majestic fortresses along Ghana's breathtaking coast housed dark dungeons, overflowing with misery and despair, right up until the slave trade was gradually abolished by each of the colonial powers in the first half of the 1800s. But by this point, the irreversible and immeasurable damage was done, and from West Africa alone it is estimated that 6 million slaves had been shipped to other countries. About 10,115% perished at sea during the so-called Middle Passage, never reaching their final destination. The castles were the ultimate stop in many ways. They provided the last experience that men and women had in their homeland before their final departure. For those who didn't make it to the New World, the castles were the last place they ever saw on land. The last shreds of hope would wither away with every day of captivity in the castle. On the seaboard side of the coastal slave castles was the door of no return, a portal through which the slaves were lowered into boats, and then loaded like cargo onto big, slaving ships further out at sea, never to set foot in their homeland again and with a final goodbye to the freedom they once knew.
Let's go see it. And the stairs you're going to see right there happens to be the original stairs African men and women used down all the time.
Slaves were kept in the castles for an average of 2 months under the most inhumane conditions. Those who survived captivity in the castles left through the door of no return to be taken to the slave ships, never to return to Africa. The door of no return is in the outer walls of the castle, facing the sea, and was named as such because once slaves walked through it they never returned. At the door of no return the slaves were led into boats that transferred them onto big ships farther down the sea, for the long and horrible journey to the Americas. In the travel book 1000 Places to See Before You Die, it has been documented that by the 18th century, up to 30,000 slaves passed through the door of no return each year. According to one Malawian travel guide who visited the Elmina Castle, you can always feel the suffering in the air. It's unsettling.
For the ancestors.
Is this it? This is what I got all those ass whoopings for?